Hi, welcome back to Power Chats with Chris and Sav and Chris, whichever one you want to do it. We actually hit start just as it turned from 9/11 to 9/12. So we're here at 9/11. And Sav was like, what a shit time to start. And I was like, no, this is a perfect time to start. So,
Perspective, hey?
oh man, we talk some shit, don't we? So, considering we met like 2 weeks ago and it was like, why don't we just talk about random shit? So, anyway.
You know what? Do you know what? That raises a really good point. I feel as though 2 weeks ago, I mean, life was actually totally different. Like we were able to be out in the wild, but also I feel as though 2 weeks
A
has
while.
been like 2 months. Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm talking about all the things I'm going to do once I can rewild. Like once I can rewild, I'm going to like be climbing all the time and be hiking all the time and be like just enjoying a coffee not made at home. No, rewilding. What are you most looking forward to once you can rewild?
Once I can rewild.
Mm.
What am I looking forward to? I don't know. I really want to go for a motorcycle ride, and I'm in like two minds on whether I can do it right now or not. Like, I really want to go out and go through the twisties, but I'm like, they're telling me not to, and I don't really want to get pulled over by a cop and him recognize me and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But or put myself in that danger kind of situation. But yeah, I'm missing a motorcycle ride, especially with my buddy Dan, who's in the police and he's working at the moment, and he's like, "It's fucking crazy mayhem out there. Just stay home." I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay." So
Is he working?
yeah, he works in the city in Auckland. So yeah, he's like, it's fucking crazier than normal.
People are nuts, hey? Like I'm very lucky that where I live, I'm still able to feel a sense of wild, if you will. Like I can still run through the forest and run through the beach and like um I have a lot of outdoor space that I'm able to access since we're not trapped in our homes. Like since we are able to get outside,
Yeah,
I can
we
actually
can walk,
travel
we can
quite
walk
far.
in our community. Yeah, we can walk
Yeah,
around.
my like nucleus is quite conducive to like an outdoor lifestyle, so I'm very, very fortunate. But yesterday we went down to the beach, took the dogs for a beach with my flatmates, and I was amazed at how many people were actually down there.
Hmm.
um,
I got an email from a friend of mine because I sent out, obviously sending out, emails to my email list, and I sent it out, and he emails me back and he's like, "Bro, could you do me a favor and do like some videos or do a video on telling people to stay home?" He's like, "People are treating this like a 4-week holiday." And he's like, "Orewa Beach is packed at the moment." He's like, people just aren't listening. People are just going the, oh, she'll be right kind of Kiwi attitude that, we have. He's like, my partner is a nurse and like, I'm concerned for them. And I think he's on light duties. So he's at home. He's not actually working as a cop right now, but he's like, yeah, people just aren't taking it seriously. Now, I don't care what your beliefs are, and we were talking about this before, and we'll talk a little bit about it. I don't care what your beliefs are on what's actually going on out there or whether it's as serious as they're saying. Again, the government has put things in place. You need to abide by it. It's plain and simple. Just abide by it. I mean, I'm a rule breaker. I love to fucking break the rules, even though I'm an ex-cop, but you still follow them. I mean, as an ex-cop, you know how to bend them a little bit, but you still follow them. We're staying home because we're flattening the curve. Now, if it turns out that flattening the curve was actually bullshit, well, we'll never really know. But again, we're doing what we need to try and save some lives. Try and not over. It's all about not overloading the emergency system. And hopefully, we never know whether what we did was right or wrong, and it actually just carries on, and we do what we do.
well, I think that raises a really good point about like we're acting as though this is just a 4 week thing, but the reality is it could be 6, 7, 12, 15, 18 weeks. Like it could be a really long time. And I was chatting about this with some friends yesterday. So we're in containment at the moment, or confinement, sorry, like on these containers. But what do we do once we're able to leave again? Like, are we going to flood society? Like, how does this work? Because it's under control, right? It's not a bid to extinguish the virus. It's a bid to control the virus.
It's a bit to
So,
slow it down. It's just to slow it down is all it's doing. So if you actually look back at Jacinda's first video, her first live video when she was putting it, when she just said that we're going into isolation and going to stage 4. She said that it won't be, we're not open, everything won't open up again if it all flattens, if it starts to flatten out and the cases start to slow down. It'll be opening up pockets. So opening up areas, and what will, my prediction on it, and I'm not an expert in this at all, but I was a cop for 7 years. I kind of know people a little bit. But my thing is so what's going to happen, and I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, is they'll open up pockets of areas, but you'll be held to stay in those pockets. So you'll have to stay, like Auckland will be one of the last places to have big areas open up, but you'll have areas around the country that will open up, but they'll tell you to stay in that area so they can keep it somewhat contained. But it means that you can go back to somewhat of a normality in that kind of area. So like, small towns that aren't affected will be able to open back up and be able to resume business and stuff like that, open their businesses and stuff. And then it'll slowly open up. And all that is it's still just flattening the curve. Whereas Auckland, we've got what, 1.5, 2 million people. I don't even know how many people are in Auckland now. If you opened up, 3 million now. Fuck. So, so yeah, so you've got that many people. You can't go opening big areas. You'll have, they might open small areas, but Auckland will be the place where if it gets in here, if it gets in Auckland and goes rampant, then obviously, like any seasonal flu, it goes crazy anyway. So it's just about slowing it down. But there is, it's an interesting time, and it's whatever you believe or you want to read or stuff like that around how long we can actually keep doing this, because right now most people are getting paid, but who knows how long that can last with knowing
that's what we were chatting about, right? Was the economy and like the hit that's taking, and the questions around like how it's not like how far is too far, but at what point do we kind of tilt over the edge where the economy becomes a little irreparable, like it takes a long time to recover? Because a lot of people, as two business owners, like, we're really fortunate to be in a space that is already not brick and mortar, but it does have an impact across the field with any business owner. And you do have to wonder, like, where is that tipping point where things start to take a lot longer to repair in terms of the economy?
And then it's what's priority. As we were talking about an article that I posted I shared on Facebook, whether I believe it or not, or you believe it, you agree with it or not. It's at what point is, the economy, at what point do you want to actually start putting some priority on the economy? Or is a life, how much is a life worth at the end of the day? Is the real question. And so I know for some people, they'll lose everything just to save one life. And then you talk to other people and they're like, no, fuck off. I'm not going to lose everything just to save maybe one life. Or
it's a huge question though, and that's certainly not something that I have the answer to, because I mean, like, what an awful question to be asking in the first place,
Yeah, but at the same time, if you think about it, it goes around in everything. It's like, take laws for example, which I know because of obviously being an ex-cop. Take laws for example. Why are laws there? Yes, they're there to help people, but they're not there to put so much strictness on you that you can't have a life. So you could look at it the same way. You take for example, the cops nowadays do a lot of warnings, so we're a lot lighter on our sentencing for people that break the law on minor things. But what is a minor thing? And it's an interpretation to every single person. What do you classify as minor and what do you classify as major? Because I know of people that have assaulted people and been given a warning and not even gone to court. But yet for me, I'm like, if somebody punches somebody in the face, they're going to court. But yet for other people, it's like, no, you can just warn them for that.
Yeah, everything comes down to interpretation, right? And that's why we actually need systems. I think that's something that I've been super proud to witness is, yeah, there'll always be people that bend or break rules or just don't adhere to the like guidelines or actual laws that we have. But I'm super proud to see that systems are in place and order is being um, followed, because like as humans, like we're crazy because of interpretation, because of um this bullshit idea that like for me it's okay and we make up our own rules, and here's life and I live on the outside of it because I'm special and I'm unique. Well, it's nice to see that there's order being put in place, and for the most part people are following it. We need order, especially in a time of like massive uncertainty. Order is what keeps us sane. We're actually not like the smartest monkeys. We really need each other to form some form of like regulation, and we need to be told what to do to a certain degree.
Mm.
Like as much as you're as progressive and as enlightened and as bloody adult as you can be, you always need some form of like parenting. And
Oh,
it's actually quite nice to see a lot of I mean, obviously with this, like you get these everyday police people, like people that think that they're almighty, and you're like, hey, you're just a regular person like me, Mr. 50 down the road, like
yeah.
sit down, like get off your high horse. But it's quite interesting to see how people respond to rules, and like for the most part I feel as though New Zealand's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were talking about this before. I, in some ways, I've got that doomsday kind of approach. That kind of, I've always had that what if, then try and solve the problem. But I was a cop for 7 years. I've seen what people do. Like, I've seen what people are just dumb half the time. And, as you said, people need order and they need structure. But my biggest concern, and we were talking about this before, is how long will people actually stay in isolation and listen to it?
Mm.
Like I know an ex cop in the States. He posted up yesterday. He's on day 23 now. For maybe even 8 weeks, I think people will be fine with. But if you get much past 2 months, especially for your non-retirees, your people that actually like you and I have rent and mortgage and bills, and then you have companies that, I mean, I know so many people in my apartment building that are literally just on like a leave holiday. Stop man. They're on like a leave holiday and they're just getting paid. They're not having to use their leave. But if you look at the infrastructure side of that and the economy side of that, the company that they work for has to still get paid in order to pay them. At what stage does that run out? At what stage does that company go, we can't actually afford to keep paying you?
Well, it's a domino effect, right? From top down.
Yeah, and there's some companies that are doing extremely good, like supermarkets, and there's government agencies that are always going to have it, but you can only print so much money.
Oh, Kenya.
I mean, you can continually print it, but at some stage you end up, having a dollar is no longer worth a dollar; it's worth
Sure,
a cent.
sure.
You look at places like Venezuela. You go there with a $20 U.S. bill, and you come out with a stack of money like this when they give you the change back in Venezuelan dollars. For buying a Snickers bar. So there's a point where they're not going to be, and hopefully we never see that point. Is where I'm trying to get with it. But at the same time, is if you start to, like you were saying before, if we start to get to that stage where things start to fall off, people, I know, that's one thing that I do know. People become self-centered. Now, hopefully, it never gets to that, and New Zealand is showing that it's not like that right now. But if you put somebody's life on the line, I'm going to be generous here and say probably 75% of people will go, I'm taking care of, I'm looking after me.
Oof.
Yes, there's the 25% of people like myself who will put others' lives first. But again, you got a majority of people that'll be like, nah. I mean, look at riots, look at things that we've seen through history. People get very concerned with themselves. Right now, society is doing great, and I hope that they keep doing it. But from what I've seen and experienced, and yes, I'm a bit tainted, but a lot of people look after themselves. I've seen some of the nicest people in the world, and fucking they get put up against the wall, and it's like, I don't fucking care who you are. I'm fighting you. I'm getting out of the way, getting you. I'll destroy you to get through.
So this is really interesting, because this is something that I've been contending with a lot lately, is you say, for any situation, obviously not in the context of just a global pandemic, but in a breakup, in a parent-child situation, in a car accident, in any form of situation, you can stand on the outside and objectively go, oh, I wouldn't do that. Or, oh, I would absolutely do this. The reality is, you might not. And you are fortunate if you've never had to come face to face with actually realizing what your answer to that would be. So I feel as though because we're talking about relationships, right? Like, would you value another human being over yourself? Like, how far would you go for someone outside of outside of you, right? Yeah, like that's, looking after someone else. And I've been speaking to a friend who has come out of a abusive relationship, and I have realized very quickly that it's super easy for me to sit on the sidelines and go, oh, how do you not see that happening? How did you not, how could you have stood by this? How could you have not done this? I would have done this. I would have done that. And I mean, I haven't been a dickhead and said those things because I understand.
But it's going through your head. It still goes through your head. It doesn't. If you haven't been in an abusive relationship, for example, you don't actually know what goes through their head. Now, I was a cop for 7 years, 3-ish years on the front line dealing with domestics. You can see it literally. The amount of people that I was talking to a lady just the other day doing some coaching with her, and literally the same thing. She's in an abusive relationship. I'm like, why are you still there? And I asked her why. You don't tell them. You can't tell them. Can you not see this? Because they can. What would literally a good thing with that is actually ask them, what do you want your life to look like in 2 years? Have them visualize their life with that person, without that person, and they'll see it themselves.
Yeah, it's like the coin toss, right? Like, you throw the coin up, and you might think that you don't know the answer to a question, but the minute you flip a coin, you know what side you want it to land on.
But take for example, with what you were saying about, people don't actually know what they would do until they're in the situation. You've already done it in minor stages. When was, think of, you crashed your car. Did you fully admit to, if you were in the wrong, did you fully admit it or did you fight it? You get called out on something. Did you admit it or did you fight it? Even though you know inside that you were in the wrong, did you fight it? If you're the person that fought it, you'll put your life first. Now if you're listening to this and you're going, oh yeah, I have done that. Now you've just planted a seed into your head of going, oh, maybe I won't actually put myself first, which is good. But a lot, you look at people, I mean, the amount of car crashes I've been to where it's fully rear-ending. Somebody rear-ends somebody. You walk up to the person who rear-ended the other person. It wasn't my fault. I mean, so, it's a sad thing, but hopefully, and this is what I hope, and like I've already said, hopefully people don't go down that track. And hopefully we don't ever get put into that situation where people are like, nah, fuck it, I'm looking after myself. But you watch,
quite hopeful.
Oh yeah, but you watch any zombie apocalypse movie. every zombie apocalypse movie, everybody's out for themselves, aren't they? You have little pockets of people that are helping each other, but then they go to another little pocket of other people. They can't really trust them. And then next thing it fucking splits apart and they move on and they go to the next
Yeah.
pocket. Look at The
That
Walking
pocket screws over the next pocket.
Dead.
Yeah.
Because they, you care about you and you care about your bubble, your community, your family, the people that you hold closest, your friends, and the people that you classify as family, whether that be really close friends, things like that. It's already there in society. You look at people that work with each other. Everybody else is on the outside, and to get on. We all have cliques. Look at high school. It never ends. It just changes.
I
But
am I am feeling though like people are, and maybe this is optimistic because we're only in week 2 here in New Zealand, but I feel as though last week, like it's weird, this like collective energy, like you can just sense it when you go, I feel as though last week everyone was a bit panicky and like what's going to go on, like what's going to happen, and just a bit paranoid. And this week I feel as though people have really become innovative and adaptive, and they're coming up with ways to look after people and set up like little challenges. And we've got this thing going on at the moment where people put a teddy bear in their window. And I've had a friend set up a huge group for parents to play with their kids. And there's like, it's a fitness challenge. So every teddy bear you see, you do X amount of reps of a certain exercise with your kids. So you get them outdoors, you get them like looking for fun stuff, keeping their focus on
positivity.
lighthearted things. Yeah. And also moving. So it's like a win-win-win-win.
Yeah.
And you kind of see this pocket like grow. You see these groups form. It's like pockets are popping up all over the show.
Yeah.
No,
it is really good to see, because it was so, I think because it's been so big so quickly that people have gone towards that, and they've gone towards the let's stay positive, let's do this. So it is very good, and it is refreshing to see it happening, and also that people are staying focused on that, and people are using social media to post to show that stuff, and people are actually focused on. I know also we focus on that kind of stuff. We focus on constantly staying positive. In the darkest situations, we can always still find a positivity out of it, and that's the key with all of this, is to keep finding it, and also keep people around you that do that. I know for myself, I can dig into, just like on this call, like I can dig into show you all the fucking problems, and I can also find the solutions for them with some point, and I can shift that focus to positivity, but also keeping people like, around, like, like you and I staying in touch, talking with my wife, talking with friends and stuff like that, that are, those people that always just see the positives in everything, that don't even in a cop's world, you would call them naive, but they're actually people that you need to keep around. And I was talking to a retired cop just yesterday, for my other podcast, and he was saying you need to keep people out. Like if you're a cop, you need to have friends that are outside of the police, so you see the real world, not just what you're dealing with every day. And so it's the same thing as, you need to keep those people around that uplift you, that are always uplifting, that, you bring, everybody brings different attributes to everything. But yeah, it is one of those things that we're in times that society's never ever seen before. Ever.
yeah, I am very curious to see how communication changes as a result of this. I mean, I'm curious to see a lot of changes, but we are pretty adaptable. We are pretty innovative. And I think that also goes for us as people. Like, I don't think we'll come out of this the same.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like a different person from last week. I actually have, I feel like a far stronger gratitude practice. And I feel a lot calmer, ironically, in a time of chaos. Like, I feel a lot calmer because I think your distractions are gone, right? So for me, it feels as though I have bite-sized chunks of things that are in my control, and they're very obvious. It's very obvious what those things are, and everything else is just white noise.
Mm.
So suddenly my perspective is, this is what's important to me right now. This is what I have to do. This is what I want to do. Like
Mm.
those three things are my main focus. And everything else just kind of fades away. It's not like we're in a time of like massive survival, you know? Like we've
But
still got
you,
supermarkets and whatnot.
you simplify your life.
Totally. Yeah. There's just
You
a
realize
whole lot
you
of
don't need
clarity.
all this random shit. You don't need all the random shit. You just like, okay, yeah, you can just deal with just these little things. So it simplifies your life out.
Yeah. And I'm really like, I feel very hopeful that on the other side of this, people have a newfound appreciation for the little things and each other,
Mm.
you know, because trauma bonding too is a thing. And while it's not always the healthiest, I feel as though the people that we're stuck with now, we're going to share this for the
Mm.
rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And that is going to keep us, we're going to be like, hey, remember that time we played bananagrams for 8 hours straight? Like, it's going to be the little things that pop up, and we're going to look back and go, man, that was,
That was funny. That was pretty funny.
yeah, or that was shit, or that was cool, or God, I wish I'd been stuck with better people, or man, I couldn't have picked better people to be stuck with. Our relationship got stronger, our friendship got stronger. Like, that's the stuff that I'm really curious to see, the interpersonal
Mm.
like just the relationships, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is true because you're stuck with the same people right now. And also just the innovation that everybody's doing is quite interesting, you know. The thing again, I go to that side of stuff, but the thing that hopefully, people need so much connection. And like, you and I, our first episode was, sitting right next to each other. Now we're doing it on Zoom, and it's just not the same. Like for me, it just doesn't feel the same. Like I'm one of those people that likes to have people around. Like I like you ask my wife, I'd rather have a party of 10 people than just sit, than just do things just one on one. But yet when I was in my darkest time, I didn't want to be in a group of people at all.
Yeah, but now you know what's good for you, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting because I strive and I crave that human connection. It'll be interesting to see out the other side of this if people still keep doing this or if they go back to actually needing that human connection still.
Well, that's where I feel as though we needed this. I don't want to sugarcoat it and be like, yeah, I mean, a pandemic is a great thing, but there's great things that can come out of it.
Out of
And
anything.
I think that given a certain amount of time, anything becomes a habit, right? Because we are adaptable. I'm just hoping that the habits are healthy and they are strengthening our relationships with others and ourselves and our fitness and our eating habits. Like more people will be cooking at home. That is going to do amazing things for people's bodies and psyches. Healthy meals, like just going back to basics. It's that kind of stuff that will become a habit, I think. And I'm hoping that those are the things that stick around, and it's not the, oh yeah, I ate like 8 bags of corn chips because I panic bought the entire aisle 8, like it's very
I have,
easy to go one way or the other.
I have to say I've ate more chocolate in the last 3 days than I think I have in the last 3 months, but that's
I wasn't going to say anything, Chris, but
my wife and I were like, when we go to the grocery store, no more chocolate. We're not allowed to buy any more chocolate because we've ate way too much in the last 3 days.
right. I have started to branch out into sharing like more recipes with my audience, sharing like a lot of like plant-based love. But the problem is I realized that the more food I make, the more food I eat. So I feel for food bloggers, I have no intention of becoming one. I feel like it's cool just to share a couple things, but I think it's a trap. I think food blogging is a trap.
Yeah, that's why I eat the same thing every day. It's just easier.
I've been making so many treats. And
I know we bake cookies. I mean, we couldn't even get our hand. We don't have flour in the house because we don't do that much baking, and so we couldn't even find flour because it's sold out everywhere. There's like a flour shortage for some reason. So we ended up actually one of our neighbors downstairs that we know really well. She gave us some. We do this little thing where you set it on the doorstep and then like fuck off and leave, and then you grab, come on and get it, and then we'll bake something and we'll take it down, set it in front of her doorstep, and then fuck off and tell her that it's, text her that it's there, and like she'll do the same thing. And so like yeah, we made chocolate chip cookies. She made bread. Her birthday was yesterday, so she made a cake and she gave us some of the cake. And it's just like, I'm like, I've eaten so much baking in the last 3 days. More than I ever have in my like last 5 years. I'm like, okay, sweet. I'm gonna come out of this stronger and better. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, this is what I'm calling the quarantine 15.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's very interesting times, to be honest, and it'll be interesting because if you think about both personally but also economically, you look at every other. My wife and I were talking about this yesterday. You look at every other recession that's ever happened, and it's all been caused because all of a sudden something happened when the stock market or people got scared and started selling stocks and stuff like that. People got scared, yes, and started selling stuff. But this recession's not because of the stock market. It's because we've all been told you can't go to work. And so
Yep.
it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of the other side of this from an economical point of view. And yeah, the companies that, just like every recession, the companies that come out of it are going to be the ones that stick around forever, and they're going to be strong ones. And same with people, the ones that use this as an opportunity to do good and do better are going to be the people that are known after this. But yeah, it's a very interesting one to look at. And we were talking about this before we started recording. I read articles. I don't just read the articles that are like, oh, the coronavirus and we need to isolate and stuff like that. I look at the controversial ones as well, because I like to see both sides of the thing. And my wife read an extremely long one to me yesterday that she read, and she was like, it was talking about pretty much, is this as bad as we're saying it is? And I know viewers and listeners are going to be like, yes, it is. It's fucking horrible. But if you actually look at numbers and you look at stats and you look at you really do look at the numbers, they aren't adding up to as bad as they're saying. Yes, certain pockets are getting flooded and they're getting horrible, but I get frustrated that everybody. Have you been to Italy before? Have you ever
I lived in Italy for a while.
Yeah, and what are the people like there? Are they healthy?
Yeah.
Would you say that they eat extremely healthy and that they're healthy people?
Oh, well, that's an interesting one, because I would say that they are
Actually, they're healthy.
They have healthier mentalities, I think.
Yeah.
And that would affect things.
Body healthy wise, would you say that they're healthy? There's nothing against Italians, but it's just I've been there before twice, and I would not say that they are physically healthy.
I'd say comparatively to New Zealanders, yes.
Oh, would you?
Yes.
Yeah, I would, because they smoke a shit ton more. Where did you live in Italy?
Down south.
Oh, okay. Because from what I saw, they smoke a lot more. They eat a lot more carbs. They have a lot higher oils. Not as much protein. When I was there, I struggled to find like decent protein meals. Like obviously, I'm a carnivore, but what I saw is their stuff wasn't super healthy. And so then if you look at the numbers coming out of Italy, that so many people are dying, but they're also, you look at the numbers, 0.8% of the people that have died in Italy had no underlying health conditions. 48.5% had 3 underlying health conditions.
I feel though, as like a global, as a globe, we have severe health issues. That this is not surprising in a way. Oh, unpopular opinions today, But I feel as though as a globe, we've all developed these super unhealthy habits. We have like obesity's on the rise, cancer's rampant, like autoimmune diseases. Things are really hitting us hard because of our lifestyle choices, and lifestyles are different everywhere. But that doesn't mean that the issues are unique to a certain
No,
nation.
but the reason that I brought up Italy is because everybody is referring to Italy as the statistics.
Oh, sure.
Everybody refers to everything as, we don't want to end up like Italy. But if you actually look at the culture of the people, and you look at the US is going to get nailed extremely hard because of the high level of obesity and heart conditions, and everybody's on fucking medication over there. I don't think I know one person over there that's over 40 or 50 that's not on some sort of medication for something. And so, yes, they're going to get nailed hard. New Zealand has high obesity, so some of them will get nailed hard. But again, why has this never been talked about or done anything about before? And why is it coronavirus's fault? And we're getting real controversial here. And some listeners are going to go, nah, I don't want to listen to this anymore. But you should. Because,
Well,
we're not saying don't stay at home. What we're saying is look at the bigger picture. And this is what I'm saying, at least. And this is why you and I have these nice chats, because we pull each other back and forth. But my thing is that you have all these health conditions that have been like, oh yeah, we'll just push them under the carpet. We'll give you some medication. We won't actually do anything fucking about it. And then you have this virus that comes along and it attacks those people. Yes, there are some people, but if you look at Italy, because everybody's referring to it, there's 0.8% of people like you and I that have no health conditions that are dying. 0.8%.
Yeah, but see, the likelihood of having this is
And
the battle, right? Is having no health conditions is actually, unfortunately, a rarity.
Yeah. So, but why have we never looked at this before?
Well, I think that comes down to not feeling as though we're not urgent beings. Like, as a species, we don't deal with things until we have to. So you don't tend to look at maybe your smoking habits until someone really close to you dies of lung cancer. You don't tend to look at your eating habits until your partner doesn't, like, you can't fit into your jeans anymore, or you can't wear any of your clothes. Like, these things need a little bit of urgency. And that's where I feel coronavirus is, like, COVID-19 is going to bring us a lot of sort of just like awakenings and realizations that the important things are our health, our loved ones, and their health. Like, if we're wanting to live for a long time, if longevity is our goal, because we're living for longer than we have ever before, like you say, once you hit 40 or 50 and you've got another 40 or 50 years to go, what's your quality of life like? I feel as though this is going to be a really positive kick up the ass to examine our health and assess where things are at. And this is something that I was sharing with my audience the other day, is that your well-being is actually so much more than just what you eat and how you exercise. Your well-being is what you emotionally feed it, what you mentally feed it, what you spiritually feed it, what you physically feed it. Your well-being is so much more encompassing than just food and exercise. And I feel like this might help people start there. Like, our business has started on the basic level of move your ass, right? But hey, once you've got that down, let's talk about why you weren't moving in the first place, what kind of movement you like. Like, it gets deep.
I have mine the other way around. Mine is, I dig into people's hearts, their heads, their souls, and why the fuck haven't you been moving up until now? Because this is what's going to get you to stay moving for a long period of time.
Sure, but you started as a trainer, right?
No, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you are right. You are right. Yep, I take that back. Yeah, it did start off with Oh yeah, and I approach people around the fitness and then instantly shift over to the okay, fine. Because
Right, because
people
it's
don't,
more
because people,
palatable.
well, because people that can't relate or they don't understand the mental stuff. And if they do already, then they're already doing it.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I mean it, and this is the thing is hopefully it shifts people from this whole just doctor science side of stuff to this mental side of stuff because your mental state, man, your mind has more power than anybody knows. You know, I remember watching a YouTube well before all this stuff happened. I watched a YouTube video from Eddie Hall, who is the only guy to ever lift half a ton deadlift. So he holds the world record right now. I think half Thor is about to try and break it here in May. But Eddie Hall deadlifted 500 kilos off the ground. And he said there's no fucking way I was ever going to be able. He's like, the most I lifted in the gym before that was 462 kilos. He's like, but there was no way. He's like, I did not do it. It was not the gym that did it. He's like, yes, I was strong as shit. He's like, I went to a psychologist and a hypnotherapist and all of those guys, and I got myself to be able to mentally be able to do it. He's like, I was able to extract every ounce of adrenaline out of my body and everything. He's like, when I was doing it, he's like, if you look at my eyes, he's like, I am not looking at the audience. I do not see them. He's like, I am thinking I am lifting this weight off my son. And I'm putting all the power into that. And I'm using every ounce of adrenaline, every ounce of my mental state to do it.
Mm.
Like, I didn't lift anything near 500 kilos before that in the gym. He's like, but on the day I lifted 500 kilos off the ground, did it completely and did, and he's like, I had a brain hemorrhage. He's had all these kind of medical things that happened because of it. But he's like, it was not my body just that did it. It was his mind. And our mind has so much power that people don't understand and don't unlock to even just heal us. Manifestation, we talk about this as well. Manifestation, what you manifest is what you're going to get. And if we're constantly thinking that we're going to get the coronavirus and we're going to die from the coronavirus, well, the chances are a lot higher than if you go, no, I'm going to be fucking pretty sweet. Not being naive and, going out and fucking coughing on people and getting coughed on and shit, but going, having that power of that focus is there's so much more power in that than, that people don't realize.
And I think the easiest way to understand that, because we tend to forget that like our brain is this powerhouse and it protects us, but it has sometimes those protective behaviors actually hold us back because we struggle to recognize like a good challenge and a bad challenge sometimes. But the easiest way to recognize just how powerful your mind is we know we can bite through our own tongue. The likelihood of you actually being able to do that, like, very, very minimal, because your brain will hold you back. It will stop you from doing that.
I remember seeing another movie, and this isn't a movie, but it's still the same thing. Try and bite yourself and draw blood on your hand. Your mind it takes somebody that's very fucking mentally powerful to be able to actually draw their own blood by biting themselves. Same thing with your tongue. You can do it if you're eating. You'll accidentally bite yourself and you'll draw blood. But if you purposely are going to try and bite your tongue, you can't. I love Tony Robbins, uses this as an example. There's the first example is, when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see it freaking everywhere. Or you start to get focused on looking for a car that you really, really like, all of a sudden you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
But the one that I love is, we've all had this happen. Think back when we were kids, or if you have kids, think how often this happens. You ask them, or you've been asked to grab the salt out of the cupboard. And you go, there is no salt, or for some reason in your mind, there is no salt. Or you don't know where the salt is, or you just don't want to grab the salt. And so you say, there's no salt. I don't know where the salt is. And you keep telling yourself, I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. There is no salt. The salt is gone. It's not there. And your mom, or, you tell your kid, it's in the cupboard. It's just there, third shelf down right in the front. No, there is no salt there. There isn't any salt. And then you go, just go have a look. And then they open the cupboard. No, see, there's no fucking salt here. The salt is not fucking here. It's not there. I can't see it. And you get up, you walk over, or, your mom walked over and they go, see, here's the salt. And it was literally on the shelf right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's because the mind you've told yourself so many times that you don't know where the salt is and there is no salt. Your mind physically puts a block and does not show you the salt.
Well, cognitive bias, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. What you seek is what you see.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so it's the same thing with everything going on. If you want to see all the shit in the world, go look, you can easily find it. If you want to see all the goodness and stuff like we've been talking about, the good stuff that's going on out there, like the teddy bears in the windows and things like that. You can see it over there. I was seeing all the teddy bears. I was like, what the fuck are all these teddy bears about? And then all of a sudden I read something and it's like, oh, it's to, cheer people up. And I actually saw it on one of the police Instagram posts. They were like, oh, a teddy bear. And then there was a photo of a teddy bear on the back of one of the police motorcycles. And I was like, oh, that's what it's all about, is to bring cheer and happiness. Like, okay, I get why the windows are lined with teddy bears now.
Yeah, you're like, I didn't realize that my neighbors had so many stuffed toys.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, my neighbors have a lot of fucking toys. Okay, cool. Must be kids there.
Yeah, we get to know our neighbors without actually getting to know them.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. I know we've gone off on a bit of a little tangent on stuff, but it's that's what we do. But it's yeah.
So you've done your gratitude practice this morning. Let's wrap up there.
Yeah.
What's a couple things that you're grateful for?
What are some things I'm grateful for? Almost every morning I'm grateful for my puppies, because they're always cuddled up next to me, and my other little one is in her cage and she wakes me up every morning. Grateful for them. Grateful for my positive attitude on life, the fact that I can find positivity in anything now. And also grateful that my wife's around at the moment, that I get to see her more often than I normally do. It's kind of nice, even though we have lots of other stuff going on, that it's nice to actually be able to see her and chill out with her at home. And yeah. How about you?
Love it. Mine would have to be the fact that I can still get a sense of wilding out around my home. The fact that I have so much nature and my feet can take me really far.
Yeah.
That the clarity that this isolation has given me, for sure, like the perspective on the bigger things and what actually matters. And 3, real basic, but like not being stuck in a house full of dickheads. I really love the people I live with, and so I'm really grateful that those relationships are so strong, and that I like love where I live.
Perfect. That's
very grateful.
Very thing to be grateful for. I just want to add one thing. I know we've talked a lot about the what ifs and stuff like that, but if find that you're living in what ifs, find a positivity out of that what if. You can go, but what if the economy fucking fully plummets and everybody loses their jobs? Okay, cool. So we all start from scratch and we hit the reset button and we'll all come together and do it. Focus on the coming together side. Because we are humans and we do work best as a team, not as individuals. So remember that. Work as a team, not as an individual, even if that means, getting onto a Zoom call or a Skype call or a FaceTime or there's so many different video calling apps out there now that, you can do so. But, get on something with somebody and start to brainstorm. Like Savannah and I do, get on something and brainstorm about something, because you can come up with so many ideas. If you've lost your job, use this opportunity to create something new. Think about what you love the most and what you're so passionate about that you could talk for 20, 30, 40 an hour about, and just start talking about it. Start brainstorming on how you can help, how you can use that to help other people.
But also on that note, ask better questions, because if you ask shitty questions, you're gonna get shitty answers. So questions like, why did I get fired? That's a shitty question. How about, what do I have the opportunity to create now?
Yes, exactly.
Good question.
Yeah, ask yourself good questions, because if you ask yourself, like Savannah said, if you ask yourself good questions, then you're gonna get good answers. And it's going to drive you forward. It's not I mean, my wife's pretty much lost her job, and she works in the travel event industry. That's going to be one of the last things that comes back. Air New Zealand put a post out and said that the first thing that's going to come back is domestic travel. They can't see international travel starting up for a little bit from now, probably at least 12 months. So she's like, okay, cool, I got to find something different. So now she's asking the smart question of what else am I good at? What else can I get paid a decent wage and do? And so that's what she's looking for now. And so it's working, it's asking yourself those good questions and focusing on that. Focusing on the uplifting side of things and focus on the things like, yeah, okay, cool, you lost your job. Now you have the opportunity to do whatever the fuck you want. The universe is giving you this opportunity to do whatever you want. Maybe you weren't happy in that job. So it's all happened for you. And so you're here, you're able to do whatever the hell you want. So just stay focused on those positivities. Do you have any last words at all, Savannah, for everybody?
I think you summed it up pretty well.
All right, cool. Well, till next time, we will talk to you soon. And remember, give us, comment or send us an email. What is it? PowerChats1. It's PowerChats1, isn't it? I haven't used the email very much. Or is it PowerChats01? No, it's PowerChats1@gmail.com. Send us an email and let us know what topics you want us to talk about. It can be anything. We love talking about shit. We love talking, just going off on different things and talking about whatever. But if you want us to actually, hone in on a topic, let us know. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all the fun things. And
And stay safe.
Yeah, and stay safe. And remember, stay the fuck home and stay the fuck away from people.
Peace, guys.
Later, guys.